And now, please welcome your hosts, Amy and Trey Cassels.
Hey everyone, it's Amy Cassels. I have a very special guest today, Neil Dailey. Neil Dailey is one of the admins on multiple Diatomaceous Earth groups on Facebook. So Diatomaceous Earth has 77,000 members, Diatomaceous Earth Food Grade Support Group, 31,000 members, and Food Grade Diatomaceous Earth Eaters, LOL, 9.6 thousand members in there. What that goes to show is that Neil knows what he's talking about. He has 33,000 combined hours of research into this topic. And he's the guru. He's the one who knows it all about the diatomaceous earth. And I am so excited to have you on. So thank you for joining us today.
Thank you, Amy.
So we originally had Peggy on here, and Peggy sung your praises about diatomaceous earth, and she gave us some really great information. And that was one of our very popular episodes. People are hungry to hear about diatomaceous earth and what it is. It is virtually a fraction of a penny to utilize in your daily life. And we're just going to dig right into it. So first, I guess, let's just ask the question that most people would say at first. What the heck is diatomaceous earth?
That's a very good question. Okay, so diatomaceous earth is literally, supposedly, that's what they're saying, the fossilized remains of diatoms, okay? And diatoms are made up of opal silica. That's what they're primarily made of. And that opal silica is 84 to 95% pure. Opal silica is what's in the food grade diatomaceous earth. That's what you're looking at. And this is actually dissolved opal. You know, the opal stone?
Yes, the opal stone.
That's what you're looking at. You're looking at dissolved opal. And then in water, okay, if you look at water has a thing in it called orthosilicic acid. Orthosilicic acid is even further micronized opal silica. So it's an even smaller form of opal silica. What's very interesting about all this, I mean, very interesting, okay, is that there is no life on planet Earth without an opal, because that's where all this is coming from. It's coming from one stone, an opal stone. And it's shocking that people don't even know that this is literally the life stone. This is the stone of all life on Earth. If you take that stone off of Earth, there is no life. You won't have plants, you will not have animals, you will not have people. You're not going to have anything.
Wow.
It's going to be devoid of life. There's no life without it.
And our bodies are made from opal silica. Is that correct?
Absolutely.
It is would it be a mineral, or would it be classified as, it's classified as a mineral, right?
It is classified as a mineral.
Okay. And we need opal silica to thrive, for every cell in our body to function properly. And I mean, it is the fountain of youth. So opal silica is also in our soil and dirt. And when people talk about how our dirt is devoid of minerals, are they unknowingly referring to opal silica?
They are. They're unknowingly referring to opal silica. And let me explain just a little further into that. I want to delve into that just a little. So the pesticides, the herbicides, the artificial fertilizer that they're using, that is actually stripping most life of the majority of their opal silica. They don't know that. But what it does is it precludes the uptake of the opal silica. So these plants are just barely getting by anymore, you know? They're just barely getting by. People are just barely getting by. The nutrition that you would expect to be in food 120 years ago, we have less than 10% of that now because of modern farming, if you want to call it that, or the corporate food production.
Yeah, let's call it that.
Is literally destroying life on Earth. Literally. I mean, it's a nightmare.
Absolutely.
And I speak about this coming from being a former pesticide agent, and I know this stuff very well. And so it's a nightmare. It's a nightmare of epic proportions. I mean, if you strip a person, okay, of what they're primarily made from, what makes their body work, what regulates their body, what normalizes their body and balances their body and brings proper function, then you're really messing somebody up. I mean, you're really doing some damage. I can't help but think that this is really, too coincidental for it to be happenstance.
You 100% realize the intention when you start looking into this. Like I was saying before we got on the beginning of the call, when I went to Europe and we ate all the food there, I was able to eat food that I normally don't eat. And it really upset me. I was like, what is going on with our farming that is allowing me to eat these things over in Europe where they have much more stricter processes? And then what we have here. Why is that? Actually really upset me. I was really annoyed. I think it's 100% purposeful. But like you said, modern farming would be a term that you would honestly in your mind think advanced, or you would think, oh, that's better than. But the reality is that the goal of any business is produce more of your product at a lower cost. And they don't want to have food waste. They don't care the value of the food. They don't want the food to be wasted. So they're going to spray it with all these herbicides, pesticides, so that they don't have these attacks from bugs and lose some of the plants. God forbid they lose part of their profits. And in that process, they're literally destroying the food and we're not being nourished. That is a very scary thought to continue as our population is increasing. We can go into HEB, or we have HEB in Texas. I'm sorry, I don't think y'all have HEB, but it's pretty amazing sight to see. But you walk in, it's just, the produce department is so bountiful. And that was not here 100 years ago. Absolutely not. But they have increased the amount of food production and decreased its value, which usually happens in any type of industry, instead of teaching us how to farm some of our own food and have how to work against pesticides naturally, or work against the pests naturally, which you can do that with Diatomaceous Earth, right?
That's correct. That is correct.
So how do you, well, first, you know what? Okay. Let's go to the benefits of taking Diatomaceous Earth, because someone listening to this is going to understand, yes, there's a problem with our soil. Yes, there's a problem with the nutrient value of our food. Okay, I need silica, but why does Diatomaceous Earth provide me with that? And how do I do that? And what's it going to do? People need to be almost convinced, if you will.
Okay, well, let me just start with my own personal testimony.
Would love that.
So, because that's going to help with that. I'd had at least probably 3 ruptured discs, bulging discs, rheumatoid arthritis, fibromyalgia, TMJ, gout constantly, vertigo, pretty regular, stones. My digestive system was demolished. I really had the worst digestive system you could imagine. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. I was so crippled up. I was ready to go out of work on disability. My back would seize up. My back would seize up, and I couldn't straighten up for like 15 minutes, half an hour, 45 minutes, things of that nature. I mean, it was really bad. I had Lyme disease. I had exposure to mold, some mold toxicity. But the kidney stones were next level. I mean, it was horrible. Yeah. And all of this, I was begging, pleading with God to please help me. I was living a nonstop prayer life for God to just help me with this. And at the time, I was looking for something natural to detox my pets and to remove parasites. I went ahead and found on the internet from research, Diatomaceous Earth is excellent for that purpose. So I bought some for my animals. And of course, I went ahead and used it on them. And my dog, Candy, who had really bad mobility issues as well. I mean, really bad. When she would get up in the morning, she would cry out really loud.
Oh.
She'd first start moving. And after a week of Diatomaceous Earth, I kid you not, she was like a newborn puppy. She was running around, no more crying. It was insane, the difference in a week's time. And I thought, if it'll help my dog, what's it going to do for me? So I delve a little deeper. I started looking at testimonials for human beings, and I was shocked at what it does for people. So I started taking it. I kid you not, within 2 weeks, I was a new man. Everything that I had been dealing with for so long was gone. I mean, all the symptoms were gone. Even because I had parasitic infection symptoms that they fell off. And so it really blew my mind. And I'm thinking, this one mineral can do all of this? This one mineral can do all of this. It's miraculous. And so that's what started me on this whole entire process. Because, like I said, I've been doing this 17 years. I've been researching this, and I just can't put it down. I can't put it down. And the more I would buy it, 50 pounds at a time, and give it away to people who had mobility issues, people who had really serious health issues, and watch them recover. And I would just give it. I'd tell them, I'd say, listen, if you'll use it, I'll give it to you. And so then I'd give them about a few pounds of it.
Yeah.
And they would use it, and they'd come back and they'd say, where's this stuff been all my life? And that's how I got started.
It is so inexpensive. It is so cheap. And you're right. We could just give it away because you can get it in the 55-pound bags. And it's amazing. You just fill it in a mason jar and give it away to people who need it. I mean, there's so many people out there that need this miracle. And I just love that it's so incredibly cheap and so easily accessible by everyone. So who told you about it? Just by your research, or God told you to look it up? I mean, what was it that prompted you?
Well, I think it was what you would term serendipity. Mm-hmm. It's when you're looking for one thing and you find something completely different.
Yes.
But it was God. Because listen, God leads, guides, and directs. He always does. He always has. He always will. And the thing is he knew that if I knew my pets had parasites, I was going to do something about it. And then I'd delve into it. I'd look into it. And then when I did, I'd learn. And if I learned, then I'd use it. And if I used it, then I would get what I needed from it. And there's more to it than that. I mean, there's a lot more to it than that, though. Because to be honest with you, Jesus Christ said, I am the way, the light, the life. and no man comes to the Father but through me. And I have recently discovered that opal is literally the representation of Jesus Christ on earth. It's actually his stone. You know, the stone that the builders would allow? It's his stone.
What do you mean? It was the stone that who would not allow?
The builders would not allow. The chief cornerstone is what Jesus Christ is known as. The chief cornerstone. So when you take this stone, okay, and you realize, you understand there's no life on earth without this stone. Jesus Christ, he says that we can't get to the Father but through him. What's the representation of him on earth? It's the opal silica. It comes from the opal. If you look at an opal, what's it look like? It looks like a rainbow.
Yeah.
The son who was promised is what it looks like. If you look at opal, it comes in every color of creation. It does. It comes in every color of creation. You can look at it. It'll blow your mind. It's a representation of Jesus Christ. It's his stone.
Wow.
If you remove it from earth, you remove all life. It's that simple.
Looks like I also need to get me some opal jewelry because it is beautiful.
It is gorgeous. And the Aurora Borealis, are you familiar with it?
No.
Okay, well, the Aurora Borealis is literally the colors that are around the throne of God. These are the colors, if you look it up, that are around the throne of God. And that is represented in opal silica as well. You will see what looks like a night sky, and you will see the colors that they tell you are around the throne of God are Aurora Borealis. And that stone looks just like it. It's called black opal, and it looks just like it. Black fire opal looks like it too. You can look it up. It's beautiful.
I know that anyone who has ever had any sort of vision or maybe a near-death experience where they visited heaven and they share their testimony about it, they always talk about the colors. They always talk about the colors that they saw, which is beautiful.
It's true. It's true.
So, okay, I would say just it being in the health industry, most people are talking about gut health. Most people are dealing with some sort of issue with pooping. Parasites is a huge topic. Sleep is also a topic that people are talking about. Like if you were to look up what are the common topics that people want to know about when it comes to health, it would be the digestion, especially for women, bloating, women, we don't want to be bloated. We don't want to look like we're pregnant when we're not, sleeping. And then of course, a hot topic right now is, skincare, collagen. One of the things women are doing is getting a lot of Botox, but then there's a whole movement of women who are realizing, okay, Botox is not healthy. By the way, I do not have Botox. Botox is not healthy for you. Stop doing it. And then so now women are like, all right, I need something else because I want my skin to look younger. How can Diatomaceous Earth help with all of these areas? Because I know that it can.
Okay, so let me just make it simple. All your connective tissue is made out of collagen. Well, the greatest collagen maker and what you cannot make collagen without, again, is opal silica. So you need food-grade diatomaceous earth for that. If you want to have good skin, you want to have good nails, you want to have good hair, you have to have it. And so you have to have opal silica. And so, I mean, again and again, If you want good gut health, guess what? You got to have it. You want to remove pesticides without any issue or problem whatsoever? Food grade diatomaceous earth, Opal silica, is going to easily remove every parasite in your entire body because it goes system wide. When you take food grade diatomaceous earth into your diet, you eat and then you take that right straight away. What happens is that it's included in the digestive process and it's broken down much further. And then it's turned into orthosilicic acid, and the body readily takes it up. And it goes to every single last cell of your body. Your body uses it everywhere. Your whole entire body's vying for it because you wouldn't have anything without it. You wouldn't have cartilage. You wouldn't have bones, no collagen. You wouldn't have any teeth. You wouldn't have any skin, no hair. You wouldn't have any nails. You wouldn't have any tendons. You wouldn't have muscle. You would have nothing without it. Your heart would be shot because your aorta is mostly made out of opal silica.
So you're taking in the diatomaceous earth, which is 85 to 95% opal silica. And then once it is digested, then it is converted into orthosilicic acid, right?
Orthosilicic acid.
Orthosilicic acid, to which is now crosses the barrier of your colon and gets into every cell of your body. From that point, it is able to feed the minerals that are needed for body processes, of, your heart to pump, your blood to clean, and then it's going to, we have parasites that live outside of the colon as well, right? Do parasites live in other places?
They do.
Okay.
And the thing is that the orthosilicic acid gets into the whole system and begins to remove them. It begins to remove them because the higher that your body concentrates the opal silica, it acts as a diuretic. And what it does is it's a desiccant, okay? So it's going to desiccate every single last thing that does not belong in the body. It desiccates it and it removes it.
Meaning chops it up, right? When you say desiccate? No.
No, it dries it completely out.
Okay.
It dries it completely out. See, when your body concentrates opal silica, what happens is these parasites are feeding off of you and your food. So when they eat that, and they drink your blood and so on, it's literally drying them out, and there's no way for them to get enough hydration. Because the more they try to hydrate off of your body, the more they concentrate the opal silica, and the quicker they die.
Wow. Okay. So now a lot of people are living in mold, especially here in Texas. Now let's assume that they've removed themselves from mold. They're still going to have this within their body, and it takes so long. That's the biggest thing that I hear is that, they remove themselves from the mold situation, but now they have to go through, a year of detoxing because that mold is basically still floating around in their body. Will the diatomaceous earth, help pull that out as well and quickly?
Absolutely. And it does it quickly. I was in a mold home for 15 years. Wow. I'm talking really bad conditions. And that's what's kept me alive and helped me thrive and survive, was that right there. I mean, it was the food grade diatomaceous earth, things of that nature saved my life, completely saved my life.
There's also other things that are sticking around in people's systems, i.e., I don't want to say the word, but the thing that was released on us in 2020, everybody knows what that is.
Yep.
I think the biggest issue that some people have had is that the thing, I don't even know if I want to call it the VIR, the thing has died off, but those dead cells remain in the body attached to some of our blood cells and then causes extreme amounts of inflammation. So that has been an issue for people who are dealing with this over, years times. So would diatomaceous earth help also clear that out of their system?
Yes, it actually does. It does. I know because I've already helped a lot of people with that particular issue. And I used the diatomaceous earth. I've used 15% Lugol's iodine solution,
Yes.
activated charcoal. I've used oil of oregano. That's at least 70% carvacrol content, which is extremely helpful for that as well. But I have many different things that I've used for that, and they work. They work really, really well.
Okay, I just have to toot my own horn here for a second and say that March of 2020, okay? Everybody remembers that month. March of 2020, I put a picture on Facebook of 2% Lugol's solution iodine. And I said, everyone needs this in their home right now. And it's so cheap. I ordered multiple and then I just was giving them out. That's all. I just had to toot my own horn there for a minute because it is amazing to have. That's a whole other subject, having that in your home. How will it help with our gut health as far as the microflora and the bacteria balance within our gut?
What it does is it actually brings complete and total proper function to the entire digestive system. I mean, completely from front to back, just from top to bottom. It completely and totally revolutionizes your entire gut. It's amazing because what it does is it sticks, okay, to anything that does not belong in the gut. It sticks to it. Be it like anything attached to your mucosal layer, okay? It actually attaches to it and it sticks to it very well. It weighs it down and it pulls it out of your system. So I'll give you an example, okay? Biofilm. It pulls biofilm out of your digestive system like nothing else because it sticks to it. The activated charcoal does the same thing. So between the two of them, they act as like wonder twins and they pull it completely. Anything, if you have a buildup in your colon of feces, old feces that is collected, it's going to pull every bit of that out. It's going to clear the colon. It's going to clean it out. You could have a temporary constipation, but it's very temporary until that is cleared out. So it's not going to take that long.
Okay, so it recognizes when there's a healthy bacteria and whenever it's a unhealthy bacteria. And it can recognize that. It attaches to it and then it desiccates it. Does it desiccate that as well? And then just pulls it right out? Yep. And then also Candida. Candida would be a fungus. It recognizes that, is able to pull it out.
Yep.
This stuff is amazing.
It is amazing. It balances out the Candida. It balances it out. So where you have a Candida overgrowth, balance it back to normal Candida amounts instead of the overgrowth, because you need Candida, but you just need the overgrowth of it, and it takes care of that. It balances the Candida right back to where it belongs. The function, the reason why it functions the way that it does, and pulling out bad bacteria and leaving good bacteria and actually allowing the good bacteria to propagate, is because when the opal silica gets in your system, it's negatively charged by your body. Your body will give it a negative charge, a very strong negative charge. When your body gives it the charge, it not only gives it the charge and activates it, but what it does is it actually gives it its marching orders as well. because the innate ability of the body is far more intelligent than people will ever acknowledge. They'll never believe. But your own body, when it charges the particle, it gives the particle its instructions. And most people, like I said, they won't believe that. But science will eventually catch up to what I'm telling you.
Yes.
It's going to catch up with it.
Yeah.
Because it's very well known that silica is a very smart stone. You would not have Silicon Valley if it were not for silica, because that's what makes up Silicon Valley. That's what makes up computer parts and components. You wouldn't have cell phones. You wouldn't have computers. You would have none of that if it wasn't for silica. Okay, you wouldn't have it. But it can store a lot of information. Now, let's say God was the one that gave the silica its information. So what's it going to do if you put it into your body? And God's given it knowledge of what to do in the body, because it seems like that's what it's doing. It's pulling out heavy metals. It has the strongest affinity for aluminum in the world. There's nothing that pulls aluminum out of your brain faster than food-grade diatomaceous earth. When it becomes orthosilicic acid and it goes into your brain, because it easily crosses the blood-brain barrier, it's going to pull anything that doesn't belong in the brain out. And it does it very, very well.
And someone would ask, I'm sure, well, hold on a second. If you eat it, how's it going to get up to the brain? Well, the same way that your sugar would. If you go on a very low carbohydrate diet, and you start to get to a point where your brain is now void of the glucose that it needs to function, and then you eat something made with a good digestible carbohydrate, you're going to feel your blood sugar rise, and then you're going to feel your brain start to snap back, and you're able to now think. That is a perfect example of how quick something goes up, a substance goes into your brain. So when you're eating the diatomaceous earth or consuming it, it is going to get into your brain pretty quick. I mean, within minutes, right?
Oh, it's within the hour. It's going everywhere. It's going everywhere. There's nowhere that can stop it. No part of your body can stop it, because it goes everywhere in your body. It's meant to be that way. It's meant to do that. And like I said, it pulls all these things out. If there's chemicals in your body that don't belong, it's pulling them out. If there's toxins in your body that don't belong, they're going bye-bye.
So all these expensive herbs that people are buying, the tinctures, the herbs, the supplements, all this stuff is costing so much money, and none of it does as good of a job or is as thorough as diatomaceous earth. And it's fraction of pennies to purchase, and anybody can get it.
I'll tell you this, because I didn't mention this yet, but see, being a pesticide man, I was subject to a lot of glyphosate, Roundup.
Yes, yeah.
And I knew I had it bad. I knew I did. When I started taking the food grade diatomaceous earth, what happened was my guts were on fire. They were on fire. And I knew what it was. I knew what it was, because I know glyphosate, because I've been subjected to it. And I was like, it's pulling the glyphosate out. It's pulling the glyphosate out. It didn't take that long. And the glyphosate was gone. And it was an irritant to the entire digestive system, because the digestive system soaks it up. But I recognized straight away that the food grade diatomaceous earth was pulling it out of my digestive system. When you eat any type of flour that's made in the United States, it's loaded with glyphosate. You'll feel a real bad stomach upset, and you'll even feel burning at times. You'll feel a burning. Magnify that by about 25 times. That's what it feels like when the glyphosate's coming out of your body. It's coming out of your system. And it's the food grade diatomaceous earth that pulls it out. And it does an amazing, tremendous job at it. So I was really so happy to see that happen. And I'll
Yeah.
tell you, I mean, everything that I post in the groups I'm in as a chief contributor that has to do with detox, die-off, Herxheimer reactions, and healing reactions, I went through all of that. I mean, I read these articles and I went through all of that in this process. Everything that's written about in there, I went through it. And it was rough. I'm not going to lie to you, it was rough because I had it bad. But the funny thing was that although the discomfort was there from those things, it was unbelievably great because I had already read up and I knew what to expect.
Mm-hmm.
The
It
fact
almost
that
makes you excited because you're like, yes, I know it's
I was
working.
I was very excited because I thought, okay, it's working like it's supposed to,
Mm-hmm.
and all of my symptoms were dropping off. I mean, just so fast, and it was mind-boggling to me. And back then, I started at a teaspoon. And I quickly, within 2 weeks, within a week, I was up to like 2 tablespoons and going as hard as I could go. I would never ever tell someone to do that today, but that was 17 years ago.
Yeah. Yeah, I was going to say
I
that's a lot to start out with after 2 weeks.
it is, but I would never tell somebody to do that now. I tell people to start at 1/8 of a teaspoon, you
Mm-hmm.
know, and go easy and increase by every 2 weeks that amount. And cover every meal that you have when you can. Every meal, every time you go up, cover another meal.
When you
And
say
keep,
cover, you mean take a dose after the meal?
or with it during the meal.
Okay. Okay. See, I was wondering that. I thought that I needed to have it on an empty stomach, but it's actually better when it has something to ride along with, right?
Exactly, exactly. Because it increases uptake as well. Of anything that you eat, it increases uptake. Now, everybody else would have you believe that it's robbing stuff. It's taking stuff from you that you need. You know, they tell you that, and they act like activated charcoal is the same way, which is an absolute lie.
Mm-hmm.
Because I've been taking activated charcoal for at least 3 years with every meal. I had heard from David Avocado
Wolf?
Wolf that he takes it with every meal. And when I heard him say that, I was like, I've got to try this. And sure enough, he's right on the money. It doesn't pull out anything good. It only
Mm-hmm.
pulls bad stuff. Just like the DE, it seems to know what to target and it pulls it right out. It is extremely negatively charged, just like the diatomaceous earth. So people are like, well, what about the positive charge stuff that's good for you? Well, it's interesting people ask me this. I tell them, I say, because if your body naturally uses that and it's positively charged, they don't take it out. They seem to know instinctively that that's to be left alone. It's very interesting the way that it targets only what does not belong.
Have you ever looked at the molecular structure of diatomaceous earth?
If you look at it, if you look at an opal under an electron microscope,
Uh-huh.
just look at it. It'll blow your mind what it looks like.
That is always fascinating to me to see the actual structure, the chemical structure, what it looks like under a microphone or a microscope. I don't understand how anyone cannot believe in God, in our Creator, when they see things like that. It's amazing.
They are perfectly round balls. They're perfectly round balls with tiny little perforation segments in it. It's the most beautiful work of art. You can go on DuckDuckGo and look at opal under electron microscope, and it will blow your mind. When you look at that image, when you get down to, say, a micron and look at what that looks like, or below, you know, look at one ion, it'll blow your mind. But it's just insanely beautiful. It's insanely beautiful. And you see the structure and you know that's not by accident. That was made on purpose. And it will disintegrate very well in your meal. Whereas if you take it on an empty stomach, what's first of all, if you take it on an empty stomach, okay, what's going to truly dissolve it? And at the same time, if you take it on an empty stomach, what incentive is there for a parasite to eat it? Because nothing's going to eat diatomaceous earth, but if you put it in a meal and it eats that meal, it's automatically going to get diatomaceous earth. It's going to die, and it's going to die that much faster. Because in the pesticide, as being a pesticide agent, when you go ahead and bait what you're wanting to get rid of, a pest, if you'll bait it, it dies quicker. So that's what you're doing with the food grade diatomaceous earth, is you're baiting them. You're making sure it gets dissolved in the food, and you're baiting them with the food, and then they die that much faster.
Okay, this makes sense, because if you were to eat a meal, your body says, okay, it recognizes this is food and we're going to deliver it all over the body, the nutrients. But if you were to just take diatomaceous earth with water on an empty stomach, your body says, what is this? This is not food. Get out of here. Bye. And then it's not really utilizing it. So if you're basically piggybacking it onto the food, and then it's carrying along with the food particles throughout the body. Okay. Right. So, here's another big topic is that, like you talked about the heavy metals. We have heard, heavy metals are coming in every direction. They're in the sky, they're in the air, they're in the food that we eat, they're in the medications that we're taking, they're in everything. People are injecting a lot of metals, even aluminum foil. We're cooking it. We're cooking it into our food. We're cooking it with the toxic pans that we're using, and we're getting heavy metal exposure everywhere. And one can lose their mind, no pun intended, trying to get rid of heavy metals. And there's a lot of detox products out there that are very expensive, and protocols and all this stuff. And they can just take diatomaceous earth.
That's true. And one thing I didn't mention yet is that it's one of the greatest anti-inflammatories I have ever seen. Food grade diatomaceous earth is one of the greatest anti-inflammatories I have ever seen. MSM's good too. There's a lot of good anti-inflammatories. I actually make colloidal copper, and it's a great anti-inflammatory, because I've been making colloidal silver for 16 years at home. I went straight to making it. I make all my own colloidals because I make quite a few different types. But it's just amazing at what these anti-inflammatories do. And the activated charcoal knocks down a lot of inflammation. But I strongly encourage people to really look into what David Avocado Wolf is talking about when he's talking about activated charcoal, and especially in meals. If people are eating really food that's laced with really bad things and heavy metals, it's great to have the diatomaceous earth and activated charcoal on board, because while you're digesting this food, it's pulling all these toxins, it's pulling the herbicides, the pesticides, it's pulling out the heavy metals, it's pulling everything that's in your food out. So it doesn't have to get into the bloodstream. So it can pull it out before it hits the bloodstream, so it's not an issue or a problem, and you don't have any uptake.
Okay.
That's more important than trying to clean the mess up after the fact.
Yes. Okay. That makes so much sense.
I think that's why it's encouraged that you take it on an empty stomach, because I think that somebody has gotten into the system that does not want everyone to get the best benefit from this mineral. I don't think they want you to have the best benefit from this mineral.
I think people can agree, especially over the past couple of years, that they're seeing that the industry, and I'm not talking about your individual doctor. I think there's many great doctors out there. But I'm talking about the system that they're a part of, the medical system, the Food and Drug Administration, the giants in the industry with Monsanto and the dairy industry and the agriculture. It's all of it. It's very apparent that they don't want you to be well. They want you on their medication. I mean, if you go to the doctor because you can't sleep, you get a sleeping pill. If you go to the doctor because your gut is having issues, they're going to give you something for those symptoms. Same thing with Alzheimer's. Just all of the issues that we've talked about today somebody would be on 5 or 6 different medications easily to take care of all this, when one thing for a fraction of the penny that cannot be patented would take care of it. Okay, exactly. So here's my next question. Where is it coming from? Where is Diatomaceous Earth coming from? That's where a lot of people are going to want to know that answer.
Okay, so the diatoms, like I said, they're made of opal silica. And that's where it comes from. But ultimately it comes from the opal. The opals, over time, they disintegrate, okay? And then that powder gets in everything. It's in the soil, it's in the water, it's everywhere. So these diatoms are made literally out of that substance. They are opal silica, the highest concentration of opal silica of anything. A lot of people want to talk about zeolites all the time. A zeolite is a high-priced, lower concentration opal silica. That's what it is. Whereas diatomaceous earth is a better product. But they take these diatoms out of fresh water. They're freshwater diatoms alone. It's called amorphous silica is what they deem it. They grind it down to a very fine powder. And then that is what people are ingesting. But they only use freshwater diatoms. Now, if you look at diatoms in nature, okay, everything lives off of these diatoms. It's also known as algae. Everything lives off algae. Mm-hmm. Fish, okay? But 50% of the Earth's oxygen comes from these diatoms. Think about that for a minute. 50% of the Earth's oxygen comes from them alone. The whales eat it. Look how healthy whales are. Whales eat it. All your fish eat it. Everything in the ocean eats it. And they thrive. And then you look at plants and trees, anything around us that oxygenates the air, okay? It's all doing it by opal silica. It's all doing it by that.
Wow.
Let me just add one thing before I forget. It just came up in my mind. You know, in the Garden of Eden, when the devil did what he did, posing as a serpent, God literally took away the serpent's appendages and said, "You will crawl upon the earth and you will eat the dust of the earth all the days of your life." I want you to think about something for a minute. That soil, okay, we were made from clay. Clay is 70% opal silica, okay? Now, God says that when you die, you're going to go back to the earth. So you're going back to the dirt. You're going back to the soil. But as I told you earlier, if Jesus Christ, his representation on earth is the opal, then you know what God condemned the serpent to do? God condemned the serpent to eat Jesus Christ all the days of his life in the dust, and to eat what human beings are made of. He's literally condemned him to eat my dust, basically. Eat my son's dust. That's what I want you to do from here on out. Because you transgressed us. You transgressed us. So now you're going to eat the dust of my son all the days of your life. And if we're made out of the stone that Jesus Christ, it represents him, then are we not getting to the Father through the Son? Think about that for a minute. A lot of scripture is going to make sense to you when you look at what stone represents Jesus Christ. If you look at that, the Word of God's going to make a lot of sense to you. There's words in the Word that are going to make some serious sense to you now if you look at it with that in mind.
I've never even thought of any of that before, and never have I even heard it put in this manner. So it's beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. My next question is, where on earth are they pulling this? Where are they pulling the freshwater diatoms from? Is there a certain region of the earth?
So it's only from deposits that were freshwater. The best deposit, in my opinion, is coming from Permagard. Permagard is the best distributor of food-grade diatomaceous earth in the world, and it comes out of Nevada, New Mexico, in that region. You know, southern Nevada.
Yes,
but it comes out of that area. That's the best deposit in the world. And Permagard has really put food-grade diatomaceous earth on the map. 90% of the food-grade diatomaceous earth that's used in the world comes from Permagard.
Okay. And I know in that region especially, there is so much rich soil and minerals, rocks, beautiful rocks of all different kinds. So that's not surprising. In your groups, there's a lot, you talk a lot about, or there's a lot of information about how to start taking diatomaceous earth, and you basically wean yourself onto it, correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
Because what happens is you don't want to have some massive die-off. You don't want to have really bad Herxheimer reactions. You want to ease into it. But like, I also have a protocol for people with cancer, that if someone has cancer, they don't have time. So I tell them to increase every 4 days, you know, and if they have really bad autoimmune disease, I tell them increase every 4 days, because it's going to take approximately 3 to 4 days for your body to register whether you're going to have a lot of die-off and a hard Herxheimer reaction or not. So that's why I tell them to do it that way. But I have different protocols for different things.
Okay.
If someone has a real bad problem with parasites, then I tell them, go up every 4 days. If it's really bad, go up every 4 days, and you want to get up to a therapeutic dose. And a lot of people are always constantly asking, what's a therapeutic dose? A therapeutic dose is 4 tablespoons all the way up to 10 or more. A lot of people like to hover around 8 tablespoons a day. That's what I take. But they like to hover around 8 because, you know, there's no small amount of industrial pollution around us at any given time.
Right. It's everywhere.
It's getting worse all the time.
Mm-hmm.
You're better off. And of course, as you get older, as you age, you need more of it. You need more opal silica. So it's better to go ahead and ramp up. Just ramp up. Get it over with.
Okay. And as real quick, whenever we use this for our animals, because they need to be using this too, obviously. So would we just sprinkle it on their food? And what would be considered, you know, kind of a dose that you would just hang out at and that you're trying to ultimately achieve?
Well, it's going to be different depending on the animal. Like a lot of cats, you're looking at a teaspoon a day, but you don't want to start at a teaspoon a day. You can start at 1/8 of a teaspoon. Just like people, you can start at 1/8 of a teaspoon, mm-hmm. and slowly build up. And I want that to be in a wet food, or at least dampen the food, you know, so that the DE sticks really well.
Okay. And then for a dog, you're just going to put it on top of their food and you could dampen it, or you could put it in a wet food, mix it in. Is that
I
correct?
I like to dampen it. Even if it's a dry food, I like to dampen it, put it in there and really mix it up good is what I do. Because
Okay.
that's what I give my cat every day. But my cat has a lot of supplements in her food. But I just wet her food and go ahead and put everything in there. And she
Okay.
eats that every day.
Love it. And then as far as in our garden, is this something that we just sprinkle on top of all the leaves, or do you put it on the dirt? Do you mix it in the dirt?
You can put it on the dirt. You can mix it in the dirt because the plants are going to really want it any way they can get it. If you mix it in the soil, that's great. It's going to get there eventually. But the roots will prioritize that opal silica. That's what they want. That's the only silica anything living will absorb is opal silica.
Okay. So if we're doing our seedlings inside and then we dig a little hole in our soil, then we could probably put a tablespoon in the hole and then put the plant in and then cover it with dirt.
Right, exactly.
Okay. And how often would you say that we should be giving it to our plants?
As often as you repot, or
Okay.
as often as you replant. So repotting and replanting.
Okay.
You know,
Perfect.
and then of course you can supplement by putting it on the soil itself. It's gonna soak into it.
This is fantastic information. I am sold. Diatomaceous Earth for life. I have started to increase my dose over the last week, and last week I got the big C. We were actually supposed to record last week, but last week I got the big C and I was down for the count. I had added Diatomaceous Earth to my water, and I did not start with 1/8 of a teaspoon because I never do anything small. I just go for it. So I probably had like 2 teaspoons in there, and I was doing that every day. And I got over this very, very, very quick, probably quicker than I've gotten over it any other time that I've gotten the big C since 2020. I definitely believe it was from the Diatomaceous Earth.
I believe that.
Yeah.
Because it boosts the immune system like nothing else I've ever seen. I've never seen anything boost the immune system like this stuff. Because think about it, the more targets you pull away from the immune system,
Mm-hmm.
the more it can be really focused, laser focused, and targeting what it needs to. You know, when you pull out the things that are bothering the immune system, that are really provoking it, it helps the immune system greatly. And that's one of the biggest things that you hear from people that use Diatomaceous Earth every day. You hear, I just feel better on it. I feel better overall.
Yeah.
My overall health is better on it. And I've seen people that have been taking it 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, 50 years. I've seen people taking it daily. They don't have any issues. They love it. They'll never stop taking it. They'll never stop taking it. They're sold, and they love it.
Well, you had me at it helps build collagen, so we're good.
It's the best vegan collagen builder there is.
I love it.
It's amazing stuff.
I love it. Well, thank you so much for joining me on the show and giving out this incredible information. I know that your group is probably going to grow a lot after this podcast. There's going to be a lot of people that are going to be looking for your group and learning from you. And we are in a time where people are very hungry for this information. And they need it, and they need something that is inexpensive and easy for everyone to find. And they can look for, Permagard would be the best brand. Is that what you said that you like?
Permagard is the only thing that I personally use.
Okay.
And that's what I recommend regularly.
Okay.
And I mean, if I can help someone navigate the pitfalls that I've had to deal with,
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to do it. And I'm going to do it with every bit of my might in Jesus and God. I'm going to do the best that I can to help other people Because listen, if everybody can win the lottery, why not? You know, if you can win the health lottery, why not tell it to everyone and anyone?
Real quick before we go, I have to tell you, I created a product called Sparkle Dust, which is a powdered tooth polish, and I created it in 2016 when I was postpartum, about probably 5 weeks postpartum, had just had my third baby. And when a female has a baby, there's a lot of crazy hormones dropping and increasing, and it can be a really hard time, but it also can be a beautiful time too. There's a lot of, just spiritually, there's a lot of things happening in your brain. And one of the things is that I woke up at probably 6 a.m. in the morning, and I knew I had wanted to make a powdered tooth polish or a powdered toothpaste of some kind. And I had been thinking about it, but I hadn't done anything yet. Well, I had all the ingredients in my house, and I got up one morning and it was like God just downloaded this recipe to me. Just downloaded it, just dropped it on me. And I couldn't do anything except for go in the kitchen and make this powdered toothpaste. And I was making it out of different clays, but two of the ingredients that I knew I needed to add were activated charcoal and diatomaceous earth. So that was back in 2016. And since then, my product Sparkle Dust has done incredibly well, and people have dramatic results from using this toothpaste. Most of the people that I know that are in the health industry have already, really figured out that the toothpaste that are on the market today are really not cleaning your teeth very well. You just look like you have rabies. You're foaming at the mouth. So we're using, natural toothpaste, and with the Sparkle Dust, it just magnifies it so much, and people's mouths are so much healthier. And to hear you talk about diatomaceous earth and charcoal combined, it's confirmation, because, here's the thing. I've been a little insecure about the Sparkle Dust too, because I'm not a dentist. I'm not a dental hygienist, nor have I ever been in the dental field. But God gave me this recipe for people to brush their teeth with. And I'm not saying that it's going to diagnose, treat, or cure anything. And nor am I telling you not to go to the dentist or any of those things. I believe that's incredibly important. But I just know that God gave me this idea, and I did it, and people have had incredible results. So it's really cool to hear you talk about diatomaceous earth and activated charcoal at the same time. It's confirmation for me. So I appreciate that.
Well, that's confirmation for me as well, because I developed my own recipe that I believe God gave me as well. Mm-hmm. And it happens to have that in it as well. And wow. I've been using it for years, but I've not seen anything better for my teeth. I've never seen anything better for my teeth. And my dental health has been the best since I even started DE. Yeah. And at first when I started, I was using just DE to clean my teeth. And my dental hygienist was blown away. And she was saying, "What are you doing? Your teeth have never been healthier." And I said, "I just brush with diatomaceous earth." And it blew her away. She said, "Well, what you're doing, keep doing it, because it's just amazing."
Wow, I love it.
But yeah, I developed my own tooth powder, and I love it. And like you, I'm just blown away with the things where God is leading, I think, all of us that are serious about health and serious about God. I love the direction that we're all heading in.
I believe that if we can all get to a point where we're feeling good, where we are thinking better, our digestive tract is working better, we're sleeping better, we're having dreams, we're able to go outside and go for a walk and smell the air and hear the birds and be in God's creation, we are able to do so much more in this kingdom. And that is my motivation for teaching this topic, so that I can get people out there to do more for this world and pursue their purpose that God has for each and every one of us on earth. That right there is better motivation than a six-pack or toned legs and thighs. Although that's fun. It's a lot of fun. But there's a greater thing. And I believe that that's it. So anyway, thank you very much for coming on. And I hope to be in touch a lot. So thank you, Neil.
Sounds good. I really enjoyed it, Amy.
Me too. All right.
Thank you very much.
Have a great day. We'll talk soon.
Thanks for listening to another episode of According to the Cassels with Amy and Trey. Be sure to subscribe wherever you get your podcasts so you never miss an episode. To stay up to date with the Cassels, follow Amy on Instagram @acassels. Until next time, have faith, enjoy life, and love abundantly.